This is Power Athlete Radio. With your hosts, Denny K, Professor Booty, and the Luke Summers. And now, toes forward, hips locked, shoulders set, and retract those scapulars. It's time for some knowledge bombs.
Welcome to episode 55 of Power Athlete Radio. Bear with me, I freaking worked up to a 1-rep max power clean yesterday and smacked my trachea with the bar. So talking is kind of challenging, but here we go. We got a great show. Jared Allen joins us on Power Athlete Radio today. What's happening, Jared?
Not much. How you guys doing this morning?
Good, good. And as always, we got the Power Athlete coaches, Luke, Tex, and John, and the champion himself, soon to be representing Atlanta and Vegas, Steve Playtech. What's happening?
What's up, Denny?
Living a dream, man. Living a dream.
Playtech, how's that fundraising going?
Slowly.
But I helped out a little bit today.
Yeah, Tex helped out.
Tex made him money. Whoa.
I got a local gym that decided that they were going to post some goofy picture, and then for every share and every like, they're going to donate $1. So that's cool. And then our gym will match it.
I was thinking like maybe a calendar. Maybe we should do like a like the 12 months of Playtech.
Like Zoolander.
Yeah, just the same picture, just with like different colored T-shirts over and over again, and just label different looks, being like, the November look is La Tigre, and then we have the Jared Allen. I mean, we could just post it and just the same picture. And when people
He's
are like,
trying to make money, John. I don't think that'll work.
Tex, relax.
he's like, I love it. It's so good.
John, that's a great idea.
Hey, that's what I do. I just come up with great ideas.
So we'll post that link in the show notes. But yeah, Playtech's trying to get to Vegas for this last tryout for the National Pro
Fitness League.
And PFL.
Yeah,
right?
It's like the NFL, but just smaller.
But you have to be more talented.
Yeah, you just have to be in better shape.
Like you could last more than a day of squatting.
Yeah.
So you're telling me they have a pro fitness league?
Jared, let me explain. Okay, let's back this up. So, Jared, you're familiar with what CrossFit is, right?
Sort of, yes.
Okay, so it's people competing in exercise and workouts.
I've seen it on ESPN, like the 6 or something like that. ESPN 6.
The Ocho.
Yeah. It's on ESPN. What is it? I think it was on Siete. I don't think it was on Ocho. We have to step up. But the guy who used to be the head of CrossFit Media ended up parting ways with CrossFit, and he started this thing called the National Pro Fitness League, which is kind of takes an NFL-style model, and they have different cities with teams, and these teams go and they compete against other teams in workouts.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, and they have one of the competitors has to be over 40, and Playtech is over 40, and a doctorate of psychology.
Ah.
So pretty sharp dude, and he's also
mind effing everybody.
Yeah. Totally. He's going in there and just being like,
stare at the faux hawk.
Yeah. But the best part is Playtech's like 5'10", but he's got about a 7-foot wingspan. So when he deadlifts, he only has to pull the bar like 3 inches off the ground. It's unbelievable. So
work to my advantage, John.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I know. I mean, like heavy deadlifts, you went in there and you're like, oh, I got this.
Yeah. Hey, tools and toolbox. That's all you need. Tools and toolbox.
So Playtech went and competed at this combine where they test the athletes, and then he got invited to the final combine, which is kind of ironic, seeing is that in the NFL, like there's only one combine and you got to do the stupid personals, but like now they have multiple combines, so he's got to go out to Vegas, and he put out a little fundraising link, and anybody listening that wants to help send our Professor Booty out to Vegas, help him out, and Jared would appreciate this. The reason we call him Professor Booty is because he's obviously a professor at school. And is it because you stare at girls' butts, or
they stare at yours?
Oh, they stare at yours. I can't remember what it is, but it's something weird like that. But
well, probably doesn't help when you like teaching straight leotards and spandex.
Oh yeah, he just.
Have you been to my class?
He just wears. He would rival Boomer, Jared. I'm Jared. So like Playtech wears just like football pants cut into shorts.
Hey, you know what? Hey, again, tools in the toolbox.
Speaking of which, dude, have you even heard from Boomer?
You know what? I was just gonna say, yeah. You know what? So now that I'm out in Chicago, he graced our presence. He stopped by the house the other day. He's doing well. So you gotta. I mean, people that don't know Boomer, but you know, this is another reason why I believe in God, because miracles do happen. He's dating a girl steadily, and you know, he's talking all sorts of nonsense, and you know, the good kind of nonsense, and yeah. But you know, he's still Boomer, he's still jacked. But no, he's settling down. He's out in Bloomington. He's doing well. You know, so he's I think he's slowly but surely moving on. I guess he doesn't want to be the last one of his friends not married with some kids at some point.
Yeah, he wants to be like the old dude at the club who's just like fucking gray hair, 50 years old. Whoa, whoa. You know, that dude that we would see and we'd be like, really?
Yeah, well, it's
Really?
you that every man fears to become.
Yeah, every dude fears, like every NFL player, whenever we'd go out there, it'd always be like, you know, out obviously causing trouble, and you'd see like the 50-year-old dude with all the young chicks. You're like, oh yeah, good. It's really nice that they brought their father out today.
Yeah, so unfortunately, everybody's got to grow up, and Boom's on his way. Now he seems to be doing good. He's still the guy that's like an absolute. I mean, I don't know. I don't get it. I don't even know that he works out. He just like has muscles on top of muscles.
Nah, you know what? He's like a closet worker outer, because I remember when I was out in Arizona when he was staying at your house and I stayed there, he would like we were watching TV and during commercial break he would jump on the Evil Wheel and bang out like max Evil Wheels during the commercial break. So I mean we watched TV for 2 hours, and like we were sitting there drinking beers and I think doing tequila shots. Which is what you got to do when you watch TV. And as we were getting fucked up, he just kept doing the fucking Evil Wheels, and I was like, God damn it! So then I started doing them, and 2 hours into doing Evil Wheels, I'm like, oh fuck, I can't even stand up. My fucking abs were so sore. I'm like, God damn you, Boomer!
His motto in life is like, or it was like, if I have trail mix and an ab wheel, I can go anywhere in the world. It's like,
well,
ab wheel will travel. No, he is kind of creepy, like super good at working out, because like when we went on that safari in Africa, for a month straight, all we did was like body weights, plyometric stuff, ate relatively, good, and dude, that was like the most jacked I got in like a month of just shredding. I came back shredded, and you probably dropped like 15, 20 pounds, and all of it like doing hotel style workouts. Yeah, he's kind of like sneaky, knows how to get every good workout out of you.
Yeah, no, Boomer's in phenomenal shape, man. I mean, he came in one of our seminars a couple years ago, and I was trying to sucker him in to come out and work with us, and he didn't want to do it. And then we had a seminar out in his hometown, and at the last minute, he fucking bolted out of town because I think he was nervous to see me. He was afraid I was going to fucking go old school and fucking berate him. I don't know if you guys have known this, but we tend to be a little harsh on each other. I mean, now that you guys really know the kinder and gentler John Wellborn, and we used to be kind of a little aggressive back in the day. Wouldn't you agree, Jared?
Some guys, they express their love. The tougher you are on people and that kind of stuff, the more you like them, right? It's like third grade relationships. If you hit the girl in the face with a backpack, you have a huge crush on her. Yeah.
No, it wasn't like that. We just generally didn't like people. Little known fact.
We just hated each other.
Little known fact. Jared and I were roommates for over a year, so Jared and I actually know each other pretty well. I think that was actually, an interesting part in our lives, seeing as that we rented an apartment in a retired old folks home.
Well, yeah, okay. Let's back it up and explain really how this happened. So it was both of our last years in Kansas City. We both sold our houses. I get a call from John. I don't know if it was a call. It might have been a text. I don't know. Well, text messaging might not have been even going on back then. I feel like that's cool.
Yeah, we paged him. Smoke screens.
Yes. So I get a call from Wellborn saying, "Hey, dude, I found us an apartment." And I'm like, "Really? Like how? We both just literally a week ago decided to
on the airplane."
Wow. He's like, "Oh, I sat next to some dude on the airplane. He said like his mother died and we could have our apartment." And I'm like, "What?" He's like, it's right down the plaza. I'm like, all right, cool, whatever. So we show up down there, and literally it was a retirement home, and there was like 24-hour nursing staffs on some floors. I think we had like the pull cord in the shower. Like if you slipped and fell, you pulled the cord, and the ambulance shows up.
Yeah, it was totally
It was, and we remember the dude across the hall. We had some dude across the hall, which we never saw. We just see his nurse come in. But you would walk down the hall, and you would feel the eyeglasses follow you, like his peepholes.
Yeah, the peephole would actually rotate, like it had like a 180-degree view. So all of a sudden you come out of the elevator and the peephole would like shoot at you, and you go walking by and it'd be like Scooby-Doo. Yeah, like straight up Scooby-Doo. And we'd like walk by and like, holy shit. So then it became like this whole thing of like how you could sneak to your place without the peephole following you. So you like get off the air, you get off and like kind of like shimmy slide like fucking down the hallway and kind of, like, crawl underneath them, and the dude's like fucking looking for you all crazy ass. It was and
what Wellborn didn't tell me when we did this is that he was providing no furniture to the place, and that he had sold his house with all of his furniture in it and sold his furniture, and I think Boomer ended up buying all your furniture.
Yeah, no, I actually, I think he bought it, and I think he bought one piece, and I gave him the rest of it.
And then, so we load up, and then one day I come in, I put my couch and the beds in there. I was like, hey, I need a bed. I'm like, all right, I got another bed you can have. And I walk in there one day, and there's a giant bubble. Like, his room is like Bubble Boy. And I'm like, I guess how big of a meat stick he was. And he had some knee problems, and so he done his research like only John can do research. And
no. It wasn't a knee problem.
Hyperbaric chamber was the.
No, what it was is it was an altitude chamber. So I used to sleep at like Mount Everest base camp, and the idea was that by sleeping at altitude, I was going to jack up my red blood cell count so I didn't get tired. And where this came from was a couple years before we played in Denver on the opening game, and like I got fucking smoked. And I remember being like, man, I got to fix this. So I called Inclidon, and I was like, Inky, I need some help. And he's like, no problem. So he sends me this fucking altitude chamber, and like I literally was sleeping at like 17,000 feet. And so all of a sudden I would like get out, and I'd be like $1 million, be running around in circles. So it was just a little weird to have your roommate like, dude, is that a tent? I'm like, it looked like a big camping, like a clear plastic camping tent that I would sleep in. The problem is that there was no ventilation in there, and so I had like 5 fans, and you would just lay in there, and obviously Kansas City's pretty warm. This place was kind of old. I mean, the air conditioning worked too good, and it was fucking so hot in my bubble. I would just sit in there, and I'd be like, God damn it, I hope I'm getting better, but I don't fucking know. But the better part of this whole thing is, so Jared obviously had a big house. Now we're like living in like, would you say it was probably a 1,500 square foot apartment?
Not even, dude. I was going to say probably like less than 1,000.
Yeah, maybe 1,100. So Jared has like a 90-inch TV that he brings in and a couch, right? So we have this like massive fucking couch, a 90-inch TV, and then we have beds, and I got my bubble, and I think that was it.
We had no dishes because I had a cook that year, so I had meals prepared because I was on a strict diet. You were just cavemaning it with hamburger and rice. We didn't have a fork with your hands.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I ate. Majority of the meal was hamburger and rice, and I think I had I can't remember what my other meal was, but it was pretty. I think it was like some oats. So it was pretty Spartan.
I led the league in sacks that year, and all that good stuff. We had fun too. So.
Yeah, every Friday I would always lift weights, and then Jared would go and usually buy something ridiculous. So I'd come home, and he'd be like, I got Guitar Hero! And he'd fucking play Guitar Hero, and then it'd be like, I got the fucking band! And we would just play stupid shit. So it was pretty funny, dude. I mean, just the fact that we were in a retirement home.
Buying something ridiculous, it was probably at the bargain basement. It wasn't like anything cool. It was just ridiculous, like Nerf guns, water pistols.
We also had feet-in pajamas. Remember that? Remember our feet-in pajamas?
Oh, you gotta have footy pajamas, dude, with the trap doors. No, there's only one way to go with that.
Yeah, dude, Jared's like, dude, I found this guy that'll make custom foot-in pajamas. They're only like $200, so I got like 5 sets. I'm like, sounds like a great bargain, you know? I'm like, yeah, I'd be like, how much you want for fucking foot-in pajamas? So I buy those things for like $3 a piece at Carter's because my kids.
Yeah, it was too cheap to buy a new car, so I had an old hunting Jeep that didn't have a top, and so it was wear like snowmobile gear driving to work every morning. unless I could ride with John in his Bronco. It was great.
Yeah, and I had a top, and my Bronco actually ended up taking a shit on me because a mouse crawled up in the motor and ate all my wires. It was so cold that the mouse crawled inside my in the engine and fucking ate all my wires. I came out and the car wouldn't start, and I was like, what the fuck? So I call the dude, he like tows it, and he's like, yeah, some small rodent ate all your wires. I was like, oh boy. So what do we do?
Yeah,
we shipped the car home and rode with Jared, and we just would suffer in like the middle of Kansas City winter with no top on his car, just riding in like hoodies and freezing.
You guys are all like millionaires.
Yeah.
But you get like a Cavalier.
What happens? You get all that money and you're just like, well, fuck it, I don't want to spend it.
No. What happens is that initially is like kind of the deal. Like you get in and you fucking kind of go a little crazy, and then all the dudes around you go so fucking crazy that you actually end up going the opposite way. And
yeah, because you can see where they're heading, right?
Well, no, it's just like this silent protest. Like, you're like Trey Thomas, who I played next to in Kansas, in Philadelphia. He told me that so we had locker next to each other, and every day I'd come in, I'd like kind of like notice, like after a while you like notice a guy, always is wearing like looks like brand new clothes. And I fucking buy like a couple pairs of jeans a year, wear T-shirts. I'm actually wearing the free Jared Allen T-shirt that he gave me a couple years ago. And like after all, like this is kind of, I'm just not gonna go out. Like it's not, the thought of having to go buy clothes is more of a pain in the ass than actually fucking getting new clothes. So like I just don't want to have to go get them. And I noticed that I was like, God, you know what? It's been like 2 years that I've never seen Trey wear the same clothes twice. And then I started noticing like tags on his clothes. So finally I was like, yo, dude, what the fuck? Like I'm like, what is this? He's like, oh, well, I tell my wife at the beginning of every month to buy 30 like Pele warm-ups and like different warm-ups. He would wear like the, Sean John Pele warm-ups. He's like, I tell her to buy 30 of them, and I wear a new one every single day. I said when I made it to the NFL, I was never going to wear the same clothes twice. So he would wear the same or brand new, and then he'd go home that night, throw it in a bun. She would donate it or give it away or do whatever, and he would wear new ones for years. So upon seeing that, you're like, you know what? I'm going to wear the same clothes every single day. Oh, you're going to drive a $400,000 Bentley? Okay, with a driver. I'm going to drive a fucking hunting Jeep that I paid $50 for. Yeah. Like, it just became this, like, almost like a silent protest in a lot of ways of, like, to not be in the status quo, because the status quo after a while is you're like, this is so fucked, dude. Like I just can't live with this.
Different things, and so at least for me, it's like if I'm going to splurge in one area, I'm going to have to save in another, and so a funny story actually. My financial guy is one of my best friends, and my wife and I, we have a little small dog in our house in Minnesota. He could always get out, or she could always get out through the fence. So I went to Home Depot and bought like, that wire mesh.
Chicken wire?
Zip ties, and I spent hours like blistering my hands with wire cutters. You're just wire meshing our entire backyard so our dog couldn't get out. And I called my buddy. He's like, "Why wouldn't you have someone do that? Like you'll pay someone to mow your lawn, but you won't pay somebody to think." And I said, "Principles, dude. You always got to you got to keep yourself grounded. You can't be afraid of doing some hard work. And B, there's just certain things that I won't spend money on. There's certain things I will spend money on. There's certain things I won't. And that just happened to be one of them. And at that point, a new car was not on my to-do list. So we decided to suffer.
Yeah. No, and it was even better. I mean, yeah, like we could have found a even better place. But I think the rent on that place was like what, like $1,000?
No, it was $700.
It was like $700. So the way that I found the place is I'm flying back to Kansas City for the start of the season, and I sit next to this guy, Gene, who was a insurance guy, and he's like, big Chiefs backer, and I forgot what they call them, like, they have like this like kind of support organization for the Chiefs, and the guy sits next to me and goes, oh my God, you're John Wellborn. I'm like, oh my God, thank you. And he goes, hey, my name's Gene, I met you before, and we start talking, and he's like, so where do you live? I'm like, I don't live anywhere. I was actually hoping to go find a place, and he's like, I own this condo that down in the plaza. If you want to rent it for like $750 a month, and I'm like, sold. But you want to see it? I'm like, no, we're good. I'm like, I'll call my roommate. He's like, you have a roommate? Who's your roommate? I'm like, Jared Allen. He's like, you and Jared Allen live together? I'm like, well, yeah, we kind of have a symbiotic relationship like that. Yes.
Yeah, it was great too because there was no lease, so when we left, we just packed our stuff up and left.
Yeah, I just called the dude and was like, "Yeah, we're out tomorrow." He's like, okay," and we just like. I'm pretty sure I left with like after Jared took his stuff, I think I wrapped up my bubble and I shipped it and left with like a duffel bag and that was it. I was like, goodbye Kansas shitty.
Yeah.
That was well, you know what? It's a better organization now. I mean, once they got rid of your dad, Carl Peterson.
Oh goodness, yeah, we don't even need to go down that road. That guy. Hey, you know what? I believe everything happens for a reason, and you know, it was funny too because you know we obviously had dispute over contract stuff, and it's crazy where the league went from there. And it's funny. Remember, Tony just signed his deal too, or was about to, and you know he ended up getting out of there too. But you know, it's funny because you know the battle I had with Carl actually led me to Kansas or Minnesota, which ended up you know I got double the contract I was trying to get in Kansas City because of Dwight Freeney. So basically, the rift I had with Carl delayed every process, allowed Dwight Freeney to set new highs and set new boundaries for DNs, and so I was able to piggyback off that. So in a good way, and in a small way, Carl Peterson was a blessing in my life.
Well, he was because he was a piece of shit, and you know, let's fucking call a spade a spade. I mean, you know what? Like the guy could have signed you for fucking nickels on the dollar and locked you into a long-term contract, and you would have fucking signed it. And that guy was such a moron. And, I mean, dude, I mean, like, I just remember being at Tony's Christmas party when he was like, and Tony, I like to refer to him as my son. I was like, this fucking guy. I look on Tony's face was like, do I really have to fucking let this guy fucking dick slap me like this? I'm like, God damn it. Like,
I just remember when he came out for the American Rodeo. This dude came out with a leather jacket on. I mean, I grew up on a horse ranch. I grew up with cowboy hats, cowboy boots, and Wranglers, and you know, boot cut jeans. Let's just put it that way. This dude came out with a 15,000-gallon cowboy hat, a leather jacket. I think he had creased Levi's and some.
No, those were like fucking designer Italian jeans. Yeah, they were fucking pegged too, which was even better. Like he was in fucking seagulls.
Silver-tipped cowboy boots, and I was just like, this clown. And then he started talking about himself in the third person. Carl Peterson would just like to say, welcome to everybody out here, and.
My favorite Carl Peterson outfit was when he went triple leather. I don't know if you guys know what triple leather is, but it was pretty cold. So he was wearing his clothes. He had a leather blazer with a leather jacket with a leather overcoat, trench coat on with a fur collar. And he's sitting there like talking with us, and like I think Jordan Black rolls over and he's like, "Old Peterson's got triple leather on." I'm like, "What's triple leather?" He's like, "Look at his blazer. He's got a blazer, a leather jacket, and a full trench coat of leather." He's like, "Nobody goes triple leather. Only Carl Peterson goes triple leather." And then Jordan fucking melted away into the darkness. Probably, I don't know if you guys know, Jared's a pretty funny dude, but Jordan Black was probably the most insane guy I'd ever met in terms of just off the wall wackiness.
Yeah, he was a goofball. But you know what I feel like can pull off triple leather is somebody who is max power cleaning and crushes their trachea. I feel like a guy like that.
Well,
Danny K does quad leather because he puts the leather pants on.
Yeah. Well, here's the deal, Jared. You realize that
you wear a leather weight belt.
In Chicago, that if like you ever needed somebody like to take a bat to somebody for you, Denny's your guy.
Yeah, he'll body gun, no questions asked.
Like if you call up, you're like, "Hey, Denny, I need you to bring a baseball bat, and I don't need you to ask any questions." Denny'd be like, "No problem. With or without leather. With or without leather. I'll wear a leather jumpsuit." Jared, you tell me where to be.
Bear.
The Bears.
Like, all right. I need you to clock. Ooh, you know what? 7:48. I got deads. I got deadlifts.
Dude, it'll be me, Jared Allen, and a certain Coach Ditka.
Yeah. It's funny because, you know, as being an athlete, we're all at a certain level of meatheadedness, and you know, we all have our own different weight room routines, and we put in. But I mean, Wellborn, we used to just kill Wellborn because this dude, I mean, his Friday routine was like, this dude was just lifting heavy as he could be on Fridays, and he'd go out and play, and never really understood it. I mean, he would Vaseline up if we wouldn't have given him that much crap for it. But so it was like amongst meatheads, Wellborn always stood out as like the biggest meathead, just because it was like he was the only like 315-pound lineman with like lower body fat than receivers, and you know, just always in the gym. And so when he became White Goodman of Globo Gym or CrossFit athlete world, it's been anybody who knows Wellborn, that's a large circle in the NFL, has just been just absolutely dying laughing. We totally understand it. So when the first thing I heard this morning, that when Denny said I crushed my trachea power clean, I was just like, yeah, that makes sense. Like that just totally makes sense with where what are you doing right now?
So Jared, you know, one of the topics that we talk about on the show is guys who are weight room strong, and then guys who are just like field strong.
I would be in the latter category. on that.
Okay,
yeah, whoa. Yeah,
you were raised on a horse ranch, right, in California. I mean, you mentioned, you know, you can't be afraid of putting in some hard work. I mean,
well,
do you feel that you just had that strength from, you know, like a blue-collar type of upbringing, or did you have to bust your ass in the weight room to get stronger?
No, wait. Well, let me give a little backstory on this. So we were on a couple weeks ago, and we with a guy, Mark Ripto, who's out of Texas. And Rip and I had always had this conversation. He asked me about it when I first met him years ago, and he said, you know, does the weight, you know, when you get to the NFL, is the weight room really a factor? And I was like, what do you mean? He goes, well, you know, like, can a guy come into the NFL and build himself up in the weight room? And I was like, dude, the NFL, like, I got drafted in the 4th round, so did Jared. You know, all the best ones go in the 4th round, but I mean, they drafted me to start. They drafted Jared to start. So I mean, there was no like, hey, we're going to take you in the 4th round, give you a year to train in the weight room in the system and get up to speed. Like, that doesn't fucking happen for a 4th round draft pick. You either come in, you can play. And and I'm sure Jared can think of 50 guys that he played with, and I can think of them, and we can just start naming them off left and right, who were weight room fucking monsters, but went out and played and couldn't play dead. You know, see the guy in there benching 500 pounds, and you go out and you hit the dude. And I mean, Jared probably played against, you know, the majority of offensive tackles for the last decade. Can give you a list of guys that were fucking looked like $1 million, super strong in the weight room, that fucking couldn't hit for shit and couldn't be able to do anything. So I had this theory, and we talked about it with Rip, that like there's guys that are weight room strong, and there's guys that are this, you know, country strong, field strong, fucking cock strong, whatever you want to call. And then there are guys that have both of it. I mean, Jason Dunn was a great example. Remember how strong JD was in the weight room?
Yeah.
And yet you go out. I mean, you go out on the field, and Jason Dunn would fucking slam you like Bam Bam. And you know, but then there were other guys, and I mean, fuck, I'm sure we could sit and think of them that were super weight room strong. And then there were other guys like Hank Fraley, for example, or, you know, guys that you wouldn't even expect to be strong that couldn't lift dick in the weight room, but yet went out on the field and would crush people.
Yeah, I think, and too, it's relative to what you need is routine. I mean, as a pro, you have to develop what works for you. And you know, I'm a leverage and technique guy. I always have been. My body, since I was in high school, going back to the original question Denny was talking about. Yeah, I mean, I got some of my natural strength, obviously, from just doing chores around the ranch. But you know, I've never been able to do a lot in the weight room just because, you know, my bench has never been my strong suit. I got long arms, and I've been able to squat and clean a lot. But you know, my legs don't hold that kind of mass. I just have long, lean muscles, and I learned at a young age that, you know, leverage and technique will take care of a lot. I was laughing with someone the other day. One of our young guys in Chicago was bench. I don't know. Goodness, I don't know what he had on the bench. It was way more than I ever dreamed of, and it was probably, you know, 4 something. And you know, I was laughing with him. I said, well, you know, good news is that I've never met an offensive lineman that weighs that much, so you're good, you know. And but you know, guys like Wellborn, I mean, weightlifting was a crucial part of his preparation. So whatever it is that your preparation takes you to play at the level, you have to figure that out. So if it's the weight room, then that's where you need to stay. For me, it's not been that. For me, I work out my in-season. I work out really hard in the off season. You know, really make sure my cardio is right. I've implemented MMA training. Obviously, I know where I need to be at weight room wise. I'm not maxing out anymore. I'm not doing that stuff. I just know where my body needs to be at and what weights I need to be hitting to be ready for the season. I'm a firm believer that you can't give up on your core lifts. For me, I have to squat, clean and bench, and stuff like that because otherwise I think you start getting into these more functional, low weight stability stuff. You still have to have the muscle mass to be able to perform. But for me, it's been leverage and technique. And on the field, I've never been out muscled or anything like that. And sometimes you get these guys that are bulky in the weight room and they're all stiff on the field and they can't move. So I think it's a fine balance. But I think it's a fine balance between that, and it's an individual basis. So as far as going back to what John said, as far as is the weight room crucial anymore, it depends. You look at just the other day, Roberto Garza, who's been playing 14 years, our center, that dude, I watched him squat over 700 pounds, right? But that's his routine. Like, that's what he needs to do to stay healthy. That's what he needs to do to perform. Like I said, I used to watch John put on Friday clinics in the weight room. That dude that was John's thing. Friday, he needed to work out. Me, my in-season return, Monday, Wednesday, I do a full body workout, and that's it.
Jared, Friday was the only day that I actually felt good enough to actually be able to bench heavy. So it took me an entire week for my elbows and my hands to stop hurting to be able to bench. But
you really use the weight room at this level to flush. So during the season, you're using Monday to flush out from Sunday. You're using Wednesday to continue that flush and just try to get your muscles firing and blood circulating and stuff like that. So I believe functional strength is better than raw weight room strength. So I have functional strength for what I do. And I work out in accordance to enhance that functional strength. And, but yeah, so I've never been a huge, numbers in the weight room guy. It's obviously a necessary evil, because, obviously it helps against injuries and helps, in staying healthy, and obviously power and explosion and all the things we've all, grew up with being athletes, training for in the weight room. But at some point, being able to bench 500 pounds, if you can't put that into play, if that doesn't transfer over the field, it's all for naught for the purpose of what we're trying to get done on the football field. So for me, I would take functional strength. I would take field strength over weight room strength any day.
Well, what Jared said was such a hit, dude. Like, I was trying to stop it and fucking freeze that point in time. Is my thought is, and dude, I always notice this: the guys that were, and he used the term stiff. And if I were to say to, hey, Jared, that guy's a stiff, he would know exactly what I'm talking about. And if he said, hey, John, that guy's a stiff, and what we knew is that guys that were extremely stiff, usually it's just that. They just can't move. And it doesn't matter how strong you are. And usually guys that are super strong are real stiff. But if you have flexibility and balance, and Jared said technique and leverage, and he starts using all these terms, all of these things allow him to use his God-given gifts to the best of his ability. And you know what? Jared is, Jared's sneaky strong. I would have never I would never look at Jared and think, oh, this guy's gonna fucking run me over. This guy's gonna truck me. But yet all of a sudden you get down in your stance and Jared will take a step and get you off balance. And then all of a sudden fucking put his head into you and drive you back into the quarterback. And then the next one you go to sit on, I'm thinking this dude's gonna bull rush me, and all of a sudden he throws you some fucking sweet swim move. So Jared had an incredible ability to get people off balance and to give you exactly what you don't want to have happen at that right exact moment. And, it's just it's why he's one of the best to ever play the game. And, I remember beating up on him when he was a young kid, and I always will fucking take that one away from me and being like, dude, I remember fucking handing this young kid his ass, but thinking to myself, fuck, when this kid gets a little bit older and figures this game out, he is going to be a fucking rock star, and he's been a rock star for the last decade.
So, Jared, John's talked on some past shows about some welcome to the NFL moments, one of my favorites was the Junior Seau stories. But what's your welcome to the NFL moment?
Well, I tell it all the time. I feel like I've told the story a lot
lately, too. So I'm a firm believer that Willie Roaf is hands down the best offensive tackle to ever play the game.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be a fair assumption.
Yeah, and this is the day I realized it. John will know because John was on the other side. But we were doing. Remember, it was my rookie year, so your first year with the Chiefs too. Remember, we were doing half line. So Vermeil used to have us out. First of all, Vermeil.
Was this in training camp?
Yeah, training camp. So
yeah, I remember this story.
Vermeil used to have us do. First of all, Vermeil was crazy. I loved the guy to death. That dude had us in 3-hour practices a day, twice a day, full pads, and we were in training camp for a month.
100
right?
degrees.
So it was, it was brutal, right? I mean, we had to the point where we had to throw our pads in the middle of the locker room one year, and Trent Green was like, "We're done. We are done."
The battle cry was, "They can't fire us all. They have to field the team."
We would pray for rain. I mean, we would have chapel services to pray for rain just so we could get a day off. But anyway, we had lightning out there, and I'm a rookie, so it's like you don't get to question what's going on. And we used to have this thing in camp where we got judged off helmet. Like if you could rock someone's helmet back, you got coach for me. That was like a stat, right? We talked about that in meetings. So we're doing half line, and I hit Willie Rofe as hard as I could up underneath his chin, and I locked him out. Greg Wesley came through the hole and just lit Priest Holmes up. And Vermeil snapped. He just snapped, and he got so ticked off at the offensive line and that Greg, he's like, "Nobody touches the ticket. Nobody touches the ticket. That's our ticket to the Super Bowl. Nobody touches the ticket." Just yelling at everybody. I think it was Wilburn that threw out, like, "Hey Tony, what are you, the bus pass now?" And so it was hilarious, right? But the not so funny part is what just happened immediately after. So we had to do it again. So I hit Willie again, which I thought was like perfect. I hit him under his chin. I went to lock him out. Willie picked me up off the ground. This is the time, I mean, I weigh 255 now, but back then they wanted me playing at 275, 280. So I was probably like, 275, 278, right in that range. Willie picked me up off the ground. He ran with me for probably 3 yards, threw me on the ground, and as I'm trying to get up, speared me in the back. And right then and there, I knew, like, okay, I gave that dude everything I possibly had, and he treated me like I was just a little boy. And from that moment on, I did everything I could to make sure Willie was like my best friend, and I asked him, "Hey Willie, how do I defeat this block?" But that was my welcome to the NFL moment. That was my you got a lot to learn. You need to figure this thing out because this dude just absolutely embarrassed you in front of everybody.
Well, it's always great too, though. Is your welcome to the NFL moment was like one of the probably, and Jared's right, man. I mean, Willie is probably the best guy to ever play that position. I mean, dude, my welcome to the NFL moment, we talked about it, was fucking Junior Seau running past me like I was standing still. I mean, Junior was one of the best to ever play the game. So it's always interesting when, like, your welcome to the NFL moment is one of the hands-down best. But, dude, I remember Jared and Willie's battles. And, dude, I remember showing up there the very first day and seeing Willie Rofe. And if you saw him physically, like, just moving around, like, not on the field, you'd be like, dude, look at this old man. He, like, kind of, like, one knee was kind of knock-kneed in, and his legs were real skinny. His fucking upper body was real big, and he would just kind of, like, hobble. And he had this weird kind of, like, shuffly walk. And I remember thinking to myself, this old man is broken down. Like, he's like 32, 33 years old at the time, maybe 34. And he was
pushing like 8 or 9 years at that point, I think.
Yeah. I mean, he was beat to shit. And I remember thinking, there's no fucking way this old man can play. All of a sudden, we go put on our pads, and he goes kind of hobbling out there to practice. We get down in our stances, and, like, that dude got down in the laziest stance. Like, his legs, like, weren't even bent. Like, it was, like, perfectly straight kind of stagger. He just kind of, like, very gingerly just kind of, like, flopped his hand on the ground. And I'm watching this dude being like, you have to be fucking shitting me. Like, this dude's going to get killed. All of a sudden, the ball snaps. That dude bent his knees and exploded off of the line so fast that I had to take a double take. I mean, he, like, came off the ball and he hit a dude and just destroyed him. I was like, I'm like wrapped in this idea that to be in a good position, you have to start in a good position. Nobody ever goes from a bad position to a good position. You can ask Jared when, when you get off on the line, like, if your stance is perfect, you get off, everything's perfect, you're good. Like, there's no, like, lazy stance, bad technique, and then all of a sudden somehow you're going to have some flash of brilliance and get back into a good position. It just doesn't happen. Willie Rofe is the only guy that I ever saw in the NFL that could start in a bad position and within a split second get into the exact good position he needed to be. It was unfucking believable.
Unbelievable. And 300, I mean, he was playing legit 340 probably.
Easy.
But that dude moved. And I remember talking to him, like, he was like, you know how Willie talked, coach, yeah, you say,
he spoke Rofe. He spoke rough.
People looked at him and thought, like, all I got to do is run around him. He's like, and I loved it. So then he taught me how to beat him. He taught me how to, inside stabs and how to get your, that front leg to stop and how to beat him. And so that kind of translated over. But yeah, we used to have some crazy battles on the offensive defensive line up there because I had an old coach, God rest his soul, he's passed away now, Bob Carmelowitz, and just
Bob died?
Yeah, Bob passed away a few years back.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And so he just a surly old son of a gun, but it taught me so much about technique and how to use it. And I remember we were doing a 1-on-1 and I was going against Wellborn and John had beat me the inside punch. And once John's his scouting report was just get his hands off you, because once John got his hands on you, it was over. Vice grips. And I'll never forget, I came in and I tried to knock John's hands down or something. He locked me up, and Carm he absolutely just dog cussed me. So I came back in. I gave John inside. I actually came up off a knee and got the score back to 1-on-1s. But those are the kind of battles we had back and forth those days. And but yeah, dealing with a guy like Steve, we would always preach technique, and technique beats technique, technique beats technique. Willie Rowe was hands down. He just didn't. Even his weight room routine didn't make sense. This dude, I used to get there at 7:30 on Monday morning. Willie would walk in. He would lay on the bench, put 315 on the bar, do it for 8 reps, and then he would lift his head up, just his head. He would lift his head up and down and punch his abs. And I was like, Willie, what are you doing? Oh, gotta fire the abs, coach. Gotta fire the abs. He would do 3 sets of that and then leave. That was it.
But Jared, you're forgetting too when he would do it, like you guys are thinking, he would be he'd bring the bar down and he would push it up about 3/4. He'd be like, ha, 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 ha. And then fucking put it away, and you'd be like, what the fuck was that? And he'd be like, oh, just gotta stay quick, stay fast.
Gotta stay fast, gotta fire the abs, coach. I'll never forget. And then one day he left OTAs, got in his car, and retired. Didn't tell anybody.
Well, the story goes, and this was fucking the best, is we went out to go running, and we went to go do our conditioning for practice, and Willie had been laid up with the gout. So he was, if you guys know what gout is, it's a crystallization of uric acid in the joints. It usually comes from people that eat way too much fucking sugar, and guys that have some, insulin, lack of insulin sensitivity, high blood sugar, and kind of it's a precursor for some diabetes. So Willie was laid up, and it's extremely painful, and he had some gout crystals in his toe and was in a lot of pain and hadn't been able to train for a couple of weeks, and finally got it down, and it was feeling pretty good. And so he shows up to go train, and Will Shields and the guys were out there. And I don't know if you know Will. Will was the king of the fucking mindfuck. Will was the type of dude who would tell you he wouldn't work out, but actually had been getting up at 4 a.m. to go to LA Fitness to train at 5 a.m. and then would train from 5 to 6:30, come home, shower up, and then show up at 7 for practice or for work, and be like, no, I don't work out, and was training 5-6 days a week. He was the king of the fucking aerope-a-dope. And so Will's out there, and we're gonna go run a little bit. And Willie was obviously feeling a little down on himself. The gout was kind of hurting him, and so Willie was always fucking fast, unbelievably fast. That dude, when he wanted to run with the receivers, could run with the receivers. So he goes out there and starts running with Will, and Will was fast too. And Brian Waters is another fast one. Those guys went out there and they were just smoking Willie, and they were fucking riding him. You don't have it all, old man. We haven't been training. Brian's been fucking sitting on the couch. I haven't been training. And you don't have it. And fucking they got in Willie's head, and Willie got in the car and drove away, and that was the end of it. I think he saw the writing on the wall and was like, you know what, I can't do it anymore. And you know what, that's what happens in the NFL. Guys are phenomenal players, and either just one too many injuries or just something happens, and all of a sudden you go from being able to do it one day to not being able to do it. I know for me, when I was playing in New England, I got hurt in that last preseason game, came home and had surgery, and as I was rehabbing my knee, I just literally was, when I went out to run and do stuff, I just physically couldn't do it. I was like, 11 years is good, I'm done. And, for Willie, he probably just felt like, you know what, I put my time in and I'm good. I'm going to move on. So even though, and I think mentally you still want to play, but physically you're like, fuck, dude, I just can't get my body to do what it used to do,
Well, yeah, and it goes back to, I think, too, what it takes to play at this level, like you're saying. If he felt, that he couldn't put in the work they need to get prepared. Urlacher said it best. I remember listening to his interview when he retired. He said it wasn't that he couldn't play on Sundays anymore. He just wasn't willing to do the work it takes to play on Sundays anymore. And I think that's where, as vets, as you get up in your years, that's what you have to look at. For me, and going back, to the weight room and stuff like that, that's where I try to, talk with coaches. Like this year I brought in Chip Smith from out in Atlanta to really help with my first step explosion. So doing a lot of overspeed training and resistance training as far as, just running type of stuff goes. So I haven't ran. I quit running about 7 years ago, and I've just been training MMA, kickboxing, and jiu-jitsu, and that cardio pushes. It's better than anything I can do, running myself. But as you get older, those fast twitch muscles. I was watching film last year, and I'm like, my first step wasn't where I wanted, so I brought him in for that. And it's really kind of, you have to start detailing your workouts to your age. And we have a great strength coach out in Chicago, and that's what he talks about too. He's like, at some point, you got to start doing short bursts. You know what I mean? Like intense bursts of training to really, because the older guys, you don't want to put that pressure on your body all the time. And but I think that's where it eventually gets us. It's putting the work in to get to Sunday that gets old, or that you lose it. And once you realize that you're not willing to do that, you might as well hang it up. Otherwise, you're going to go out and embarrass yourself on Sunday. And so that's for me. I know going into a year if it's going to be a solid year or not, depending on my off-season workouts. I know if I've been mediocre, or I know if I've been just balls to the walls getting after it. And so. But yeah, it's one of those things that every year you have to reevaluate. Okay, because for me, I know I'm going to walk away from this thing on top. I'm not going to walk away having people telling me that, heck, I wish you would have left 2 years ago.
Yeah, like you never want to go out with like the Favre deal where people are like, seriously, just fucking, go out on top, and leave as the person we remember you.
Yeah, you have to be honest with yourself, and you have to know where you're at, and you start dealing with injuries and stuff like that. But yeah, that's where again, it's a matter of knowing your routine of what you have to do, being honest to yourself, and being honest with your routine of where you need to be at in the weight room on the for your workouts, and then assessing how that's translating. For example, again, I'll go back to John. That dude had to. He was in the gym on Fridays. He worked out hard. That was part of his routine. And I remember he used to say before every game, he'd get ready to go to the stadium, and he'd be like, "Well, hope I don't get exposed this week." And I never said. I was like, "What?" Like, first of all, who has that kind of thought process, right? And because for me, I'm going out there cocky, like I'm going to expose everybody I possibly can. But John's his way of preparing was, okay, did I do X, Y, and Z to not get exposed? And mine is, I'm doing X, Y, and Z to expose somebody. And it's just funny how those thought processes work, but it's all hand in hand. And when those measurables that you use to know that you're ready for a game day don't add up, or you can't physically do those, you can't reach those measurables, then you have to make honest assessments. And fortunately for myself right now, I'm not at that point. And but that's one way. The weight room plays such a huge role in my off season. It determines, far in advance how I know how my season is.
Well, just along that train of thought, we played that first playoff game, you remember, in Indy with Herm. And this is I love Jordan to death, but that was when Willie was, finished, and Willie didn't want to play that last that playoff game, and he was basically done, had been injured, and they bring in Jordan Black to go play against, Dwight Freeney, in the opening round of the playoffs, wild card in Indy. And so, all week we prep. We were kind of fucking with Jordan a little bit in the film, and then I remember Matsko was like, "Yo, man, stop fucking with this kid. You're gonna kill his confidence." Because he's watching Freeney on film, and dude, Freeney is like your worst fucking nightmare. Like when Freeney was healthy, like those years, like dude, he was a bad deal. And
leverage. There's a guy who that dude bull rushed Jonathan Ogden back like nobody's business.
Yeah, nobody bull rushed Jo. And so we go out there for warm up. We come back in, and I would always do my little fucking pregame and get in my head and fucking get ready to roll. And as we're getting ready to run out the fucking tunnel, all of a sudden Jordan turns to me and he looks at me, and I look over at him, and he goes, Dwight Freeney's just a man, right? I mean, he's just a man. Like, how good could he really be? He's just a man, right? And I don't know if you guys have ever seen the scene from Gladiator when the dude pisses himself and he takes a big step back.
Yeah.
I just took a large fucking step away from him. And sure enough, I mean, Freeney went out there and fucking pulled the Fright Night on Jordan. And dude, to the point where all of a sudden I'm playing right tackle, and I was handling that little bitch fucking Mathis. All of a sudden I see Chris Terry, who was my backup, come running on the field. And I'm like, what the fuck are they bringing in my backup for? And I'm like, are you here for me? And he's like, no, they want you to go play tight end. So mind you, I'm like, you want me to play tight end? So mind you, I play right tackle. All of a sudden now I'm playing left tight end, and they're leaving me in. They're like, yeah, we don't want you to run out on the pass. We want you to stay in, and we're going to double team Freeney on that side. So I played left tight end and helped Jordan, and I was like, here's the deal, Jordan. I'm going to fucking go swing for the fences and try to knock this dude out on the very first punch. And all you have to do is just sit behind me, and whatever way he goes, jump on him. So I just would literally take a little fucking run step, and as soon as we would square up, I would fucking hit him as hard as I could, and I'd catch him, slow him down a second, and Jordan would just pounce on him, and that's how we ended up playing against him. Until the only bad part is then all of a sudden, like the third series in, they come in and they're like, John, you have to go out on the pass. I'm like, you have to. I don't know if you guys, I mean, you guys wouldn't know this, but I used to cast my hands. So like Jared talked about, I was a big punch guy, and like, dude, if I got my hands on you or anywhere near you, I was gonna fucking lock you down. Well, I would wear receiver gloves, and then I would tape these little like kind of foam pads all over my palms, and then I would cast my hand with a roll of tape. And 5 minutes after I did it, my hands would go numb, and I wouldn't feel my hands, and I would use them like fucking like battering rams, and I would just batter people for 3 hours. So mind you, my hands are numb. I don't really have a great feeling in them. They're totally casted, covered in tape, and all of a sudden now I got to go fucking run a route.
So, and let's just remember, John doesn't run that well.
Yeah. Straight lines maybe. I mean, but fucking me fucking shucking and jiving and throwing a head flip and then having to fucking turn my body around. I'm like, are you fucking crazy? I'm like, this after playing 10 years in the NFL as an offensive lineman, now all of a sudden you're going to fucking send me out on a pass route. So needless to say, I ran my little fucking button hook or whatever. I ran my in and out. And they didn't throw me the ball, thank God. But I remember the safety, I think it was Bob Sanders or something, fucking laughing. He's like, what the fuck are you doing? I'm like, exactly. What the fuck are we doing?
We were struggling. We didn't get across the 50-yard line until the second half. So.
Yeah, they were looking for anything. I mean,
we were pulling out all the stops on that one.
Oh yeah, Jared was about to go in and start kicking field goals.
Oh goodness, man, it was funny because we all thought, we were 7-9 that year, 9-7 that year, and like 3 teams had to lose for us to even get in. So everybody had their travel plans already. Like,
we were ready for the offseason.
Vegas, we were all back home. We got
whoa.
San Francisco beat Denver, and we're in the playoffs. We're like, oh crap! Everybody's canceling flights, trying to figure out when.
Like 3 teams had to lose, and the Earth had to fall off its axis, and it all happened. Oh yeah, and then we go to fucking Indy in the first round, and like, dude, if you guys have ever played in Indy, like, it's so fucking loud. Peyton Manning, Freeney, I mean that turf. I mean, you put those guys out there, I mean, you can't hear a single thing. Like, I always watched the ball anyway, so it wasn't that big a deal for me. But guys that weren't like, especially when you're playing tackle, where you're watching the screen. I mean, all of a sudden you're going off of his move and he's watching the ball. It's a recipe for bad.
So, Jared, you were talking about doing like the MMA training. If you were a professional MMA fighter, what music would you come out to? What would be your entrance song?
Oh, goodness, that's a tough. There's so many good choices. See, like I'm like
AC and the Sunshine Band.
Yeah, I'm like low key. Like honestly, I'd probably come out to maybe a little Careless Whispers.
Wham!
Just
pulls out the
George Michael, not Wham, George Michael. But you know what? I'm trying to think.
Father figure.
It just preacher teacher. What mood I'm in? Like I'm always kind of like I always listen to just relaxing music. before a game. I'm not listening to like the death metal, like slamming my head against the thing. I like joking around and having a good time. So, maybe a little Hank Jr. Anything from Garth Brooks I could play. Rodeo, that's one of my favorite songs. So that Garth Brooks Rodeo, that's always a good one to go into. So yeah, it'd be something probably mellow that no one really expected. Maybe a little Eddie Grant, Electric Avenue. Why not?
Wow.
Eddie Money, 2 Tickets to Paradise.
Done right there. You remember when Eddie Money sang at our game to the national anthem?
Yeah, he did look so good.
Awesome. So yeah, those are like my best memories of like the national anthem performers. Hank Jr. did it one time. Eddie Money, it was great.
God, I don't think if I can ever remember a single national anthem in the NFL.
I have a stupid good memory about that kind of dumb stuff. Though.
Yeah, you know what? It's probably from all the hits to the head, but it seems like all the games have melted into one with just these flashes of certain moments.
Right. Which ones do you remember? Do you remember your bad moments or your good moments?
I remember all the bad ones.
Yeah, bad ones are way easier to remember.
Yeah, I can tell you all the bad plays, all the fuck ups, and all the good ones just kind of melted into one. So like I have to like periodically remember some of the good stuff. So I'm always like,
John will get
I fucking sucked.
John will get a kick out of this. So John had just come back. It was our last year together in Kansas City, and we were playing St. Louis. I can't remember if it was preseason or regular season or something. But we got out there and then. I remember that week you were like, they didn't even know if you were going to play that week or not. And all of a sudden, someone got hurt or someone wasn't doing well. Little, remember this?
Yeah.
Yeah. So John goes out there and he goes out. The next thing you know, he gets out. He gets in the stance. We're in St. Louis. Boom. Little comes out. I don't remember he got a sack or whatever, but he beat John around the head. It was like 3 plays and John was back out. I was like, what happened? He goes, wasn't quite ready today.
Well, I wasn't supposed to play that game.
Yeah, I know, but it was just so funny because you're like, John, go in there. You're like, what? I'm not even supposed to be playing. And it's like, John, get back out. Okay, I'm not quite ready yet.
You got to warm up a little bit. You can't stand around all that time.
We came out. The greatest part is you came out the field. He was completely laughing about it. He's like, gee, crickets. I'm like, what happened? He's like, what do you mean, what happened? They throw me in the block minutes little 1-on-1. What do you think is going to happen?
That's fucking preseason. Fucking preseason, biggest fucking joke in the NFL.
Yeah, it really is. They need to cut that down.
Oh, well, it's like, it's just stupid. I mean, I understand the idea. It's trying to get the young guys developed and all that, but it's like, as a veteran, you're just like, yo, man, I just need to get through this shit.
Yeah, I think they cut it down to 2 and use it for what it is preparation for the season. We all know that training camp's more of a formality now anyways. You really, if you're not in shape, you have OTAs and you have mini camps, you have all these off-season programs, and all you do is reinstall everything. You're not even really taking advantage.
Dude, that's my favorite, being like, oh, it's an install meeting. I'm like, really? Are we going to install what we've done the fucking last 10 years?
Yeah, and it's so, and if you're not in shape, you're going to be out. And majority of teams know what 80, 90% of the roster is. So, you could really evaluate off 2 preseason games and get going. And you guys would use that for what it is. And, it's just hard to, explain. You got fans paying full ticket price. You're paying the players, maybe it's, I don't know, $1,200, $1,300 a game now, so everybody's making the same wage there, and then, you want them to sell it out in that game, which doesn't matter, and if they get hurt there, you're not going to play the season. So they need to rethink the format, and I think if they cut it down and allowed, that, and I'm not saying add more preseason or regular season games, but 16 is hard enough, but yeah, it could definitely, I think, be used better to where the vets would actually take more advantage of the preseason games. Half the time, I think we only play in 2 of them anyways. And I've been playing the last few years. I play a little bit in the second one and then about half in the third, and then I'm out the fourth. So, they could use them. They could make it a better quality of football for the fans and let the vets, really, and the rookies really get what they need out of it.
Jared, have you seen an evolution kind of in the sports since they got rid of those 3-hour, 2-a-day practices, full pads to now lighter?
No, again, I'd say it's a different sport, first of all. And, people say, you hear guys talking all the time that, oh, you're not getting the collisions, you're not getting this kind of stuff, and guys are getting more hurt and this, that, and the other. It's not true. I mean, last year I was in full pads every single day. We could be in full pads up until week 14. That's just what our coach thought,
Yeah, but it's not fucking Dickie Vermeil.
No, it's not. But you got to remember. I mean, look back on what Dick Vermeil did, though. With Coach Vermeil, this is why I think we all love him so much. He would push you to your breaking point, and then he would throw you a huge bone. So the problem is now you really take away. I think with coaches trying to use every mandatory pad, and when you say it's mandatory 2 days, I mean, I look back at Childress, and we really weren't in full pads that often. I feel like we were in full pads more this year or the last training camp. The last couple training camps than I was when there was no rule, because then you gave Coach a determination. With Dickie V, yeah, I mean, he would kill us, but then he would come up, call us up, like, I don't want to see you guys for 2 days, So there was a give and take there to where you knew Vermeil would push you to your breaking point and then take care of you. And so you were willing to push yourself through whatever wall he put up because you knew on the other side of the wall he was going to take care of you, versus now where it's kind of regimented. I think the coaches lose some of that because it's just, well, you're going to take away my authority to say when and where we go full pads. So we're going to go full pads every chance we get. And now you just got guys that are like, all right, I'm just going to try to make it through that. But, again, football's a year-round sport now. I mean, training camp is kind of obsolete in my opinion. I mean, I think you could go, a week of so-called, they're not even double days, right? One of the days you could go right into in-season program routine because, through OTAs, mini camps, and now training camp, you have your installs there. You're going to cut down, and each week, John, each week it's different anyway. We're going to install new stuff every week, how it is. So, in my opinion, it's I wouldn't say there's an evolution of the game, or so to speak. I wouldn't say it's hurting it by any means. I just think it's not necessary just because of where the game's at. And back in the day when everybody was banging every single day, you enter on an even playing field, and now you got coaches really monitoring this stuff. They're using crazy, science and all this stuff to monitor freshness and readiness, and coaches are now, really determining how to get guys to be fresh in for Sundays. And so a lot of the old school way of thinking is going out the window, and they'll hit it hard a couple of days, back it off, and they're really trying to put science behind it, and it's pretty cool. So I think soon you're going to see training camp kind of fade out of the sunset, and there's really going to be no need for it.
Well, you know what? I like to believe that if we didn't have to do some of those Dickie V baton death marches, I remember, Tony called me up and being like, dude, he goes, man, if we had this schedule earlier in our careers, he goes, dude, everybody would have played fucking 15 years. He goes, man, yeah. He goes, just the amount of time and the amount of hitting and practice. I mean, dude, that we put in dude, when I was in Philly as a rookie, we had a bye in preseason. Dude, we were in training camp 42 days. That's fucking 6 weeks. Every single day of double days, and we were in double days fucking pad because that was Andy Reid's first year, dude. We had a bye in fucking preseason, dude. It was absolutely insanity. And, you know what? I think it's better now. They should take care of the players. I mean, but I'll tell you this, as an offensive lineman, I think the reason where a lot of guys really struggle, at least in the last couple of years since they really changed it, as an offensive lineman, the only way you learn your craft is by banging out. It's 9-on-7, 1-on-1, all those padded practices. And just being able to have repetition.
9-on-7 is becoming obsolete. I mean, think about it. What team runs a power football game anymore? You know what I mean? I haven't seen old school Marty ball for years. Everything's these leads and stretches and slashes and play action off and trying to get this spread. And
yeah, but dude, don't tell me the fucking 9-on-7 when they're fucking, because there was always I forget who he is. Who is the dude, the little bald guy, the little blonde-haired dude in Kansas City? Not Shop. Remember, Shop would be like, 9-on-7! And he'd scream and start running, and then we'd all fucking take off sprinting.
9-on-7, obviously, that's stuff I remember. It's stuff I still like. I think, and unfortunately what I'm saying, I think if you're saying that, I personally think the offensive line play isn't what it's, as it used to be, because now you're forcing offensive linemen not to be as aggressive. Majority of what O-lines do now is pass set. A lot of that pounded out 3 yards, in a cloud of dust mentality now has come to that short little, passing game. And a lot of one-back systems. I mean, think about the full. I don't even know how many teams carry a fullback anymore.
Sure.
And so I think what happens is you go back from we used to play, like you said, the Willies and you guys and that offensive line in Kansas City. I mean, you guys were so good because you feared what you guys were coming off the ball. So
that was
there was going to be a run play, and you had to defend that. Which then allowed, I remember Willie or Rolf was so hard to pass rush against because his first step was a cutoff step. So you didn't know it was like, is this run? Is it play action? What the,
he fucking jumped everything. I've met people that actually a couple times have told me that they view that offensive line that we had in Kansas City as the best one to ever play.
I would agree with that. Honestly, I would look at that. I mean, obviously you're gonna the wall down in Dallas back in the day will challenge that. But I mean, you look across that line with Rolf, Waters, Wigman, Willie, and you. I mean, think about it. I mean, think how many 1,000-yard rushers they would produce. Even our backups were having 1,000-yard, rushing years. Priest, Larry, Blaylock. I mean, that was a crazy, crazy, crazy good offensive lineman. I credit a lot of my success with having to play against that.
Yeah, T. Rich, Tony, J. Dunn.
T. Rich, yeah.
JD.
Jason Dunn did hands down is in my opinion, a dying breed. I mean, there was a guy that was an offensive tackle playing tight end and frickin' yeah.
Dude, I don't know if you guys know, but Jason Dunn played with me in Philly and then went to Kansas City and was there when I got there. JD's like 6'6", like 285 pounds, maybe 290. Didn't train, was fucking totally jacked, and would go in the weight room and like didn't matter what you put on the bar for what it was, JD was going to lift it. You're like, oh, there's 500 pounds in there? No problem. Okay, just keep adding weight. JD was so fucking cock strong, it was disgusting. And then he was our the tight end opposite Tony. He would come off the ball and absolutely annihilate fucking people. My favorite was lining up in my stance with JD next to me when we would run our little outside zone play because I knew JD was going to lock this dude, and all I had to do was come in on his side, on his hip, and fucking just push him off, take this dude, and we would just truck people. It was like playing next to an offensive tackle. I mean, he was so big and strong, and then you got Tony on the other side, and Tony could fucking block his ass off. So I mean,
Tony got gypped in his blocking abilities. Tony, again, there's a guy that. Who wasn't going to overpower you, but again, through position and technique, Tony was going to be in the right spot and figure out a way to get that job done.
Yeah, he's a pretty good player. Yeah, he did all right for himself.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
So do you think that there is a power athlete a field trip involved with going and seeing Jared play? I have not seen an NFL game since I retired, but I would go to Chicago just to see Jared play.
Yeah, come on out. We'll take care of you out there.
Yeah, I will come out, and I know the guys will. Fucking Denny's over there right now, like punching himself in the throat. He's so excited. He's like, oh my god. He's like, this will be, like a guy from Chicago, because Luke's from Chicago, so these guys are Bears fans, and the fact that we went to the Bears, or Luke calls me, he's like, Jared's going to the Bears. He's like, you think we could go to a game? I'm like, I'm pretty sure that Jared would be cool with that.
Yeah, we have a good team, honestly. I mean, playing against that offense is one of the reasons why I went there, man. That offense is so tough to defend against. Brandon Marshall is a man amongst boys out there, or I should say men, in the NFL, because, I mean, that dude, he's just so strong as wide receiver. It's so hard to cover him. And then Alshon and then that offensive line of ours has gotten a lot better than it was a few years back with Bushrod and, Garza and everybody, and Kyle Long and then, what they've done on the defensive side, I'm impressed with. We have a great mix of youth and experience, and I mean, I'm telling you, I'm excited for this year. I mean, we have a good team, and watching these guys work right now, man, it's impressive. And I've been in a lot of locker rooms, and so you kind of get a feel for how guys are going to react and learn, but Coach T, trust me, his whole philosophy is really cool. It's built on relationships, and it's built that. It was refreshing to go into a locker room and into a meeting and hear a coach like speak the truth. He's like, instead of giving you this, we're going to be the best and we're going to be the standard bearer, we're going to win, Super Bowl or bound, and he goes in and tells, hey, listen, everybody's saying the same crap right now, right? Everybody's talking about winning championships. But how we're going to be different. Everybody's going to work hard. Everybody's going to say this. He's like, we're going to build relationships. And in tough times, in tough situations in the game, having a relationship with that guy next to you is what's going to make you fight harder and what's going to make you fight that. So it's a cool philosophy that they have. And like I said, we got a good team. So you guys should come out and witness this. It's going to be a good year.
Yeah, no, we're in. I know Kate was excited. As I was leaving this morning, she's like, she was telling little girls because my daughter's like, Dad, where are you going? I'm like, oh, I got to go talk to Uncle Jared on the phone, and because we watch the games, and my daughters love watching football, and it's always hysterical. Like whenever anybody comes on, they're always like, Uncle Tony, Uncle Jared. So you'll have to bring them out. I know they
absolutely. Yes, I got to meet the fam and the my young ones, and I'll have my daughter, and I'll have my second one will be here in August. So we're
congratulations, dude.
We calling for advice on how to handle two girls.
Oh, it's a lot of tears. It's a lot of tears. Yeah, no, I do. People ask me, and I'm like, I think having like one is different, whereas like you have two, and they kind of feed off of each other. So like we've had some tantrums the last like couple weeks, and I have this one picture of my daughter. She was just like laying face down on the ground, like hands and feet, like kicking the ground, like kind of like a cartoon almost. And I got a picture of it. And I'm like, this is my life. I'm like, awesome.
All my buddies, my agent was saying, he's like, you guys, he's like, you need to be surrounded by women to really make you realize, you know what, it really puts things in perspective.
Well, you got to also go Benny's route.
Because can you imagine if John Wellborn had a boy and there was another John Wellborn out there? There was another the kid would be doing push-ups at 2.
Oh yeah, don't worry. My wife is still of the mindset. She's like, I'd still like to have another one, and I'm like, no, I don't think I can do it. She's like, but what if we have a boy? I'm like, if you could guarantee me that, I would be a little more susceptible. But I know God.
I don't know if I want a boy. I have to put up with me.
Oh.
My daughter's stubborn enough. 2 girls, I think I can, I think I got enough testosterone to I can use a little more estrogen in my life.
Oh God! Like the one thing that I'm always tell my wife, I'm like, I got enough tattoos, and Jared, the same deal. We got enough bad tattoos, whereas our daughters will be like, tattoos are totally not cool, and they won't get them.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
And so my wife, I'm like, I got all these tattoos, so our daughters wouldn't get them. I mean, they're not going to, like, there's no tramp stamps in their future.
No, they'll be, if there is, they'll be sandpapered off.
Just wait till boys come over for dates, guys.
I live in the great state of Arizona where we don't have gun laws.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, the other one too is hopefully by that time we'll have like Born to Kill tattooed on my neck, and like the boys will come over and be like, was your dad in prison? You're like, no, he played in the NFL for 10 years and he's fucking crazy.
Yeah. Feels like prison sometimes, but doesn't it?
Well, it's a bunch of black dudes and a few white guys and big showers. Speaking of showers, any comment on the first openly gay player being drafted into the NFL?
No, you know what? I think when I look at it, I just obviously to each their own, and I'm sure like
Jared, we played with many gay players.
Yeah, I was saying statistically, there's been gay people.
We can probably, if we sat here, you and I could easily think of one in particular that we played with.
And so for me, I think if I was in the locker room, the thing that we always talk about in the locker room is outside distractions. And every year a coach gives a speech about outside distractions and what you do off the field is to constantly think like a pro, act like a pro, be a champion, this and that and the other. And so at some point, it has to be, football has to be football, and that's where it has to get to. And so the only real thing I can see that might become an issue is that so many guys are going to have to ask questions, answer questions about this kid's personal life, that's going to be a distraction for what's trying to get done on the football field. And but at the end of the day, that's something that everybody has to deal with in their own way. The locker room's a cool place because it's a melting pot of people, and nothing's off limits, and that's how a bunch of alpha males kind of coexist, and everybody pushes each other's boundaries, so where they're at and makes fun of each other, and and all that good stuff. And that's how that camaraderie is built. And that's how, and outside people will never understand how an NFL locker room works. And so, each locker room is going to deal with it differently, and each person is going to deal with it differently. And all I say is at the same time is if people have to respect, everybody's views and viewpoints, the other side has to respect those too, So, I agree, everybody needs to be tolerant, everybody needs to treat people with respect. But on the other end of that, people have to be tolerant of other people's views that might be uncomfortable with that. And those situations just need to be addressed, and people need to work them out as grown men, and both sides need to understand everybody's point of view and move forward with that, and let football, be the topic of discussion. And that's, I think that's going to be the biggest challenge, is at some point, people are going to get tired of answering questions, non-football related questions, and that, I'm curious to see how that gets dealt with.
Yeah, me too. Well, cool, guys. Anything else?
No.
It looks like we covered everything. Luke, do we have any questions from the live audience at all?
No, nothing. Just a couple comments. Nothing. No questions for anyone.
Jared directly.
I got a quick question if we got time.
Sure.
Just this for Jared and John. I mean, y'all played 10 years. Jared, you're going on 11th. You've seen a lot of rookies come in. Is there like a sense about a kid that you get it? This guy's going to be good. They say it's a crapshoot. Have you been pretty right intuitively with these young guys when they come in?
Yeah, you know what? I judge people. I don't judge people until I see them play on game day. A lot of people look good in their shorts and t-shirts, and they fall apart in training camp. Some guys look great in training camp, and they fall apart when game day comes. So I try to take it for what it is, and you can usually. What I look for in a guy is his work ethic and his willingness to learn. For me, that's the biggest thing. I remember when Harry came in to Minnesota, our safety, and you could just tell he wasn't, he just went to work. He just worked, waited his time to be the starter, and obviously he was a first round pick, he was going to be a starter, and he came in and you could tell that he was going to be good. And you can see that with guys, and you can see the approach they take in meetings, whether they're whiny. I look at a guy, if you're a rookie, go in there, shut your mouth, take your notes, and when I was a rookie, I found the vet of my position, and I picked his brain on every little thing. I made Eric Hicks be my best friend. He probably got so annoyed with me at times. We ended up becoming great friends out of it. And then on the other side of it, like I said earlier, I picked Willie Rosbrand. I talked to John. I became friends with the offensive guys because they're going to tell me how they block me. Then Eric's going to tell me the nuances that I need to learn from, on the field stuff that's going to happen at faster speeds. So that's the kind of what I look at. And then, I've been able to. You can usually get a pretty good feel on a guy by training camp if he's just a guy or if he's going to be something special.
Well, the one that always struck me is, and like Jared, I never judged kids day one. I used to wait until about 3 or 4 weeks into training camp when nobody wants to be there to start judging people.
Yeah.
Like, I actually fed off of their misery. My favorite thing to do was walk into the locker room, and if I could see those young guys and it looked like somebody shit on them, they were all like, all whiny, like that fucking misery is what fucking fueled my tank. I was like, oh, this is where it gets good. The young guys fucking don't want to be here. This is fucking way different than college. They've been away from home. That's just, you've been in fucking double days. It sucks.
It's this alpha dog.
Yeah, you're in these shitholes. And you know what? That's what fed on. And, those are the days when actually towards the end when things would get fucking hairy like that and these guys would get real nervous is when I would turn it up on them. And that's when I would start fucking really hammering on these kids. And the ones that would respond and the kids that were the young guys that would fucking answer the bell, dude, those are the kids I knew would make it. It was the kids who were, like Jared said, that were whiny and didn't want to be there and injuries and didn't want to work. I knew were the fucking bus. And
the guys you try to weed out, and that's where that alpha male mentality comes in. And you see those guys, and you say, okay, you know what? And unfortunately, it ends up getting a good practice out of us because as vets, we try to leave nothing at practice. We try to give all of our good stuff on Sunday.
I mean, Jared makes a great comment too with the alpha male stuff. I mean, there's two ways. You can either walk in and just fucking straight up hump them from behind like a dog. You can piss on them. or you can just go out there and when somebody's having the worst fucking day and they don't want to be there, just going out there and humiliating them is pretty much the best way to establish that you're the alpha. Because you know what, like
you really are. I mean, it sounds brutal. Again, that's why I say people never understand the football locker room and the mentality that goes through the team building. But when I go out there, I want to, you know, when we're in week 15 and we're fighting for a division title, I want to know the guy next to me is fighting like a dog too. You know, there's nothing worse than watching a guy, you know, who doesn't deserve to be there get a time off from practice or get, there's just this respect level and you have to earn it and you have to go through these things to earn it and you know, it's our job, you know, as much as it is for coaches to make cuts and do that kind of stuff, that the players know and at least back in the day, like you said, if there was certain ways we knew, I mean, fights would start on the field just to see who would fight. And by that we would judge okay, this guy's good. Now this guy might be in our inner circle. We're going to try to remove these guys. We're going to try to make them look so bad on film that they get cut. And I remember when we scrimmaged Minnesota and we had fight after fight after fight. And so basically the young guys were scrimmaging. It was nighttime, and a fight started, and I just cold cocked this dude. I started a fight. A huge brawl broke out. Vermeil kicked me out of the scrimmage, right? He's yelling at me, blah 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 blah. And Dante Hall came over to me and he's like, you know what? I'll play with you any day. And that's how you did. You got the respect of the guys because it was a dog days of camp. Nobody wanted to be there. But, you know, I had to establish I wasn't going to take crap from anybody. I'm going to hold my ground. I'm going to fight. I'm going to continue to get better. And I would battle with Willie Rove. And, you know, to the point where Vermeil called the team up after practice. It was like, as long as I'm in the league, Jared Allen will have a job. And so, you know, those are the moments that you look for in guys and guys that make you feel that way. And if we all, you know, if you it's like a shark, you smell blood in the water, you're going to attack, and we try to weed out the weaker links. So you get a very good perception of how guys are going to act and how guys are going to be mentally, and then you try to push them to that point to make sure that they're going to be there and be accountable down the line.
Bears.
Bears. Oh, end it right there. The Bears.
Pekka.
Sausage. Now that Tony's retired, Jared Allen is the Power Athletes NFL player. You are actually the Power Athlete Nation's primary player. So it's been you and Tony, and now that Tony's fucking retired, it's like you're the Highlander. There can only be one. So
carrying the torch.
Dude.
A few more years.
There's fucking 30,000 of the Power Athlete Nation deep that are fucking rooting for Jared Allen.
Well, I appreciate it. It's been fun being on and catching up, dude.
Yeah, dude. I'll hit you up, man. Best of luck. Thank you.
All right. Take care, guys.
Thanks a lot, Jared.
Take care.
Thanks, Jared.